Let's talk about one of the most difficult things in life, and it's balance. We are busy people, we have a lot going on, and finding balance in life is very, very difficult. Finding balance in ministry is also very, very difficult. And in this video, we're going to talk about how we can find balance in life and ministry in a way that I think you'll find is very helpful. We're trying to have constructive conversations. So much deconstruction is going on out there. So many people just ripping at things, tearing things apart, ripping things down. We need people to reconstruct. We need people to cast more vision. We need people to be proactive and to be positive and be encouraging. And so if we can have healthy, balanced people in churches and ministry who know how to find this balance that I'm talking about, our churches will be healthier, and our ministries and our personal lives will actually be healthier as we don't have that imbalance anymore, as we're grounded in the Word to express that into the lives of real people. If you've ever stood on a balance beam, you know just how hard it is to stand on it with 2 feet, even if the beam is just on the ground, not up. And then you stand on 1 foot and you feel how even more difficult it is. When our body's balanced, there are muscles that are being used to keep things in place that we just don't typically use. It's going to take every fiber of our being for us to maintain and to find balance in life and in ministry. And here's what has helped me. My initial training was not in theology. My initial training was in psychology. And when I entered into a psychology program after undergraduate and looking at a graduate degree, they had a model called the Scientist-practitioner model, or the Boulder, as in Boulder, Colorado model of clinical psychology. And it goes like this. You find balance in learning therapy and learning to be a clinical psychology, a clinician, through 2 things. You learn it through science, research, study, on one hand, and on the other hand, you learn it through practice, through doing therapy, through doing testing and assessment, through sitting with real people and engaging with them with the knowledge that you've learned in your study. These 2 things go hand in hand. If all you have is study, you end up in the ivory tower. If all you have is practice, you end up being uninformed. The idea of the theory behind the Boulder model, the Scientist-practitioner model, was good clinicians will be researchers and practitioners. They will not be one or the other. We will not just train researchers and we will not just train therapists. We will train people who are scientist practitioners. This is an amazing balance in life. It's an amazing balance in ministry. Now, here's a philosophy of ministry for you. The balance of research and study, time in the Word, and time with people. There's your balance. That's the balance in life. We need time alone with God, and we need time with people. In our time alone, we need to be studying, we need to be praying, and then as we go out, we have this foundation underneath us to be able to talk with people, to be able to guide people, to be able to walk with people, to be able to listen to people, to be able to come from a deeper place with other people. If all we have is just time with people, we have no foundation. If all we have is time over here with a book, then we have no relationships. We don't want to be ivory tower. We don't want to be uninformed. And so this Scientist-practitioner model is this amazing piece of balance, but it's going to take work. It's going to take strengthening some muscles to find and to shift our bodies, our minds into a way for us to not be imbalanced in life and to not be imbalanced in ministry. My opinion is that we have far more theoreticians than we have practitioners. Okay? And here's why I think that is. It's my opinion. I think it's because we have developed a system for churches to hire ministers who have a certain requirement for the position. 3 to 5 years of experience, seminary degree. Now, what kind of person is going to go and spend 4 to 6 years getting a master's degree in theology, or maybe even a doctorate of ministry, unless they love to be by themselves studying and reading? And then what ends up happening is the people who have the propensity to do that kind of work, who are drawn to that kind of work, end up kind of more on the scholarly side of things and don't end up having great people skills. They don't end up as engaged with people. Now we're still working on maintaining balance, finding balance. You can study and study and study and grow and be mature and all this, but for what? It should be time with people. Now think about Jesus. He maintained this balance. He had time away, and certainly, and I don't know how this works. The Bible doesn't tell us. I'm inferring some things, but at some point Jesus must have read some Scripture. He is the Word. He's the author of Scripture. I understand this, as the Holy Spirit has authored Scripture, and Jesus is the Logos and all that. Like, I get it. I imagine he studied at some point, I guess. I don't know that God and man think quite how that works together in his intellect and in his understanding. Hard to know quite how that all fits together. But Jesus practiced time alone and time with people. This is the kind of balance that we have to have. And when we only do one to the exclusion of the other, we become imbalanced. Think about Jesus training his disciples. Jesus, they not only heard him instruct, they also watched him do. Teach us to pray. Well, they can watch him pray, or he can teach them to pray by instructing them, just like he does in the Sermon on the Mount, and also I think in the Gospel of Luke, when they literally ask him to teach them these things, and he instructs in the Lord's Prayer. So Jesus is someone who is a scientist-practitioner. He is over here, he is studying, he's getting time alone, he's getting time in disciplines with his Father, but he's also going out among the people. Jesus had an amazing balance with that. And I think he also taught his disciples to have an amazing balance with that. And we need to have an amazing balance with that. And so how can you go about doing this? And what are some ways in the comments that you have gone about trying to find this balance between time alone and time with people, time in study and time in practice, pastoral ministry and care, time and study? Do you lean one toward the other? And if so, I would love to hear from you this. Does that jive with your personality? Does it jive with your Myers-Briggs? Does it jive with introvert-extrovert? Are the introverts over here mostly behind the desk studying? Are the extroverts mostly out? Or do we have people who are a better mix, who are finding a better balance of that? I think we tend to lean into our propensities and into our strengths. And I think that's only natural. But we're going to have to force ourselves into some skills that don't come natural to us. That doesn't mean we spend all of our time there. I think sometimes we try to shore up our strengths in order to think, like, I'd be stronger if my weaknesses were stronger. Well, sometimes your weaknesses are just going to be weaknesses and you're better off playing to your strengths. But here's the deal. We're not just studying for ourselves. We're not just studying to know more. We're studying to affect the lives of people. We're growing in our faith to affect the lives of people, to affect our neighbor, to affect the people in our churches, to encourage people, to inform people, to instruct people, to coach people, to walk alongside people. This is why we're learning. We have to understand why we're learning, and we have to understand why we're with people. We're not just with people just to connect and relate with them, although that's a big part of it. We're also there to help. We're also there to encourage. We're also there to inform, and we can't do that if we don't have the study. So for those of you who are extroverts, who just love the people time, but just cringe at the study time, realize that the study time is going to help you with your people time. And for those who are raging introverts, who are just, time with people, hard, your study time is not just for you. God didn't give you a Bible and a bunch of commentaries for us just to study just for us. We have to be stewards of our knowledge, stewards of our understanding, stewards of our intellect, so that we can affect the lives of people for the good of the kingdom. This is what we're here to do. And this, man, it's such a challenge, but it's something Jesus modeled, and we have to find this kind of balance. And by the way, this is not just for ministers. Please don't misunderstand. If you're not a minister and you're saying, well, I didn't make it this first 8 minutes, you probably are not watching at this point, I guess. But if you're still hanging in there with me and you thought this is all just for ministers, this is life. Life is about balance. And we have to balance our time. We have to balance and be a steward of our resources to know, like, I need to go and I need to study. I need to grow in my faith. I need to grow in my prayer life. I need to grow in my time with God, but not just for me and Him, to also love my neighbor as myself and take those skills and the foundations that I'm learning and use those to help other people take their next steps. Balance is so hard. And so I'm just really pray that this video will help not only remind me and encourage me to maintain healthy balance in my ministry, but also for you to be able to do that. I pray that God will help the people who are watching this to grow in their faith and their knowledge, but I'm also praying for your comments, that you will share things with me and with us that we can also grow from. This is not just a lecture, this is a dialogue, and I want to hear from you in those comments, but we can grow in this. This can be an area of growth, and it's not going to come easy if you're an extrovert or easy if you're an introvert. But again, this is not just for ministers. This is for everyone. And so I appreciate you watching. I would love if you'd subscribe, and I hope you've enjoyed this. I have. And I will catch you next time, middle of next week. Until then, Theodrama 71's coming up. Catch that series that we've been doing. It only has 4 more episodes left, and it's an amazing, deep, rich theology, just 3 to 4 minutes at a time. I'd encourage you to just hit that playlist and just watch them through, watch them one scene at a time, like scenes 1 through 12 is in a video, put together by acts and by scenes. And so thanks for watching this channel. Watch the Church of Christ Health and Vision playlist on this channel. I think that's helpful too. And so again, thanks for watching. God bless you, and we'll catch you next time.